Hey everyone, welcome to Grain Therapy, the woodworking podcast where we discuss our passions, methods, and personal growth as we build our woodworking businesses. Have you ever worried about losing your sense of smell? We muse on what could go wrong in the shop and how to stay safe. Then we discuss loneliness and running a one-person business and how we evaluate our interpersonal needs. There's a lot to worry about. Take care of yourself, and your worries take care of themselves. This podcast can be found anywhere you like to listen. If you find value in it, please leave us a comment or a review. In addition to following this podcast, find us at Bossman's Boutique and at Arbor Furniture Co. to see our projects start to finish. So sit back and watch, listen while you work, or put us on in the background. Either way, we hope you enjoy. S Corp, because there's just something to do with it's enough revenue coming through where you're consistent enough to, because once you're an S Corp, you have to pay yourself a consistent paycheck. It can't just be like, oh, March was really good, so I haven't really paid myself.
Yeah, I haven't either. I put $100 in at the beginning.
$100 in.
I haven't paid myself. I'm still very small potatoes and everything and trying to figure it out. But I think I need to start paying myself a little bit. And I try to keep them very separate because I've been worried. I watched some videos in the beginning on LLCs and everything, and it's like I've heard the term like piercing the corporate veil. So it's like if I've been worried about cross money, and then I think if you pay yourself just like really casually, and if there's enough transfer back and forth that somebody can like argue that the funds are like not, you can't discriminate the funds, then they could, if you were ever to get, if your business were to get sued or something, they could have access to your personal funds and then your house and then your whatever. So like, and I'm probably being way too like super hard on myself about it, but I don't know the real rules. So
yeah, I mean, I was always under the impression that as long as you have a business account, like especially if you have a business account, if you're transferring between that business account and a personal account, instead of like writing yourself a check, as long as you can trace that amount of money, it doesn't really matter how it's used.
sure.
Because you're still going to be taxed at the end of the year for what your income was, like for you, like for your full-time job. And then on top of that, whatever income, but then now because you've got a business, you can also deduct all of your expenses for the business. So I don't, as a one person LLC, I don't think they're super strict.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
So we both never paid ourselves. We're just doing this for fun.
4 years in. Yep.
There you go. I don't know if you know this, but I hit record while you were talking because that was good stuff.
I did notice. Yep.
Would you like to share what you're drinking today?
Just water.
Water.
Wait,
why is that?
Got a tooth pulled. Got a top back molar, not a wisdom tooth, but kind of like what you're saying your mom had. So it actually erupted because I don't have one supporting it.
Sure.
So it was moving back, and then in between the teeth, it got a cavity on that side face, and I just said, let's get it out of there.
Nice.
So yeah, they're supposed to clot after 45 minutes, and it took 4.5 hours. So that was a pretty rough. I got a little dehydrated yesterday.
I believe it. So does it hurt to talk right now? Like, is this going to be a brutal episode for you?
There's just a little soreness. It's not too bad.
Okay.
But it was cool. It was like, say, 1.5 inches long. It was a
I don't really like thinking about that.
You don't want to talk about that?
Makes me like blood's fine and like nothing, like things don't make me very queasy, but like the idea of teeth or like certain body parts are just like weird.
I was trying to show my wife the hole that's there because it's such a big tooth, and she's just like, oh,
not a fan. That's a clip right there. You reacting like that? That's funny. Yeah, so you've got the tooth, and I've got a little bit of sniffles. So if we sound a little different, deal with it.
That's what
it is. So today I'm drinking Calumet 14. It's just a bourbon, Kentucky bourbon. So
what is the 14? Is that their 14th version, or is it?
Yeah, it's 14 years old.
Oh, okay, 14 years.
So they come out with it every year. Like you can find it on the shelves, but it is for all the really. We got a lot of big whiskey fans on listen to the podcast, obviously. So it's rack number S3323.07. So if if you got that batch, I mean, we're both drinking it. So
It's like you're sitting next to each other having a glass of whiskey.
mm-hmm. Got the fancy glass, feeling bougie today. It's good.
It's called a snifter, right?
This is called a Glencairn.
Glencairn. Okay.
Glencairn.
Why is that? Do you know?
Because it's a male's name and then a woman's name. No, it's not actually spelled like that. I don't know why it's called that, actually. That's something I should know. But it's shaped like this because it can get the smells to come out real nice. And
right.
You can look fancy doing it. No, it does legitimately make a difference, which sucks. Like, I think they're a little awkward to drink out of because you have to tip them so far back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be looking weird the whole episode. Just with the way they're shaped, you have to just really tip them back. But it makes, if you're drinking neat whiskey that's somewhat expensive, try to drink it out of a Glencairn because it's just way better.
So, better experience, yeah.
That's my pitch. Get some Glencairns. So, what's up with you?
I was going to say, how's your week in woodworking?
My week in woodworking was bare. I did no woodworking this week. I am really sick of saying that, and I'm not going to say that next week. I promise I'll at least make a couple cuts.
Mm-hmm.
This week I cleaned for 4.5 hours. So that was my weekend hours. And then I was doing some chair design stuff, working on the chair for my own house. So I was trying to get that modeled. I naturally picked something that is pushing my lathe to its limits for the chair design. So I think I've designed myself out of manufacturability again.
Okay.
So now I'm already looking at like bed extensions for this lathe. It's like I need to dial it back. I need to make something I can make and not like go all the way. So we'll see how that actually ends up happening. But go ahead.
When you say pushing the lathe to the limit, so are we talking legs around, or we got spindles, or what?
The legs. The legs. I'd like to have some like dual taper, so they're kind of thicker toward the middle of the leg, kind of where that chair stretcher, the seat base connects in. But then I'd like a taper up to the armrest and down to the floor. Okay. And on the first leg, I got all modeled up, all good. I have a 10-degree angle back to where, it's just kind of a typical stance of a chair there. And I wanted a 20-degree angle on the back leg coming forward to kind of give it that like stance. And with them being both 10 degrees, it just looked too square. Everything just looked a little too boxy, and then you have a little less, you lose your moment toward the back of the chair. So if your leg is too close, it'll tip easier, right? So you got to get the legs far enough back. That's why those back legs shoot back really far usually. So, but the 10 degree just didn't look right, and I can only go up to 21 inches of stock on the current lathe that I have, the bed. And I don't even know if I can actually hit 21. I know the number says 21, but I don't know if my actual center on center can get that far. So it would work for the front leg, but I don't know if I can make that for the back leg. So I'm going to have to, I just want to make it though, because it looks sweet.
Could you make like a 2-part leg where you kind of snap together?
I could try.
Okay.
I would be nervous. That's just like, because one piece I can make it straight. I know it's like solid. There's no weakness in there because it's just straight grain, one piece. So, but that's the other thought too. I can make them screw together somehow. But
yeah, that is from a strength perspective, that would spook me a little bit too.
Especially they're the back legs. If they were the front legs, it's like way less weight up on the front there. So I really don't know yet. So I'm hoping to figure that design out, but it's hard to prioritize that over the dining table that I got to do. So at this point, just got to start making cuts and then figure it out from there. But the shop is not dusty. I got deep behind. Since I built it out in 2022, I haven't cleaned it. Like, I've cleaned it, but I haven't gotten behind the miter station and up on the top shelf, and I've been vacuuming everywhere. So a nice 1/8-inch layer of dust up on the hard to reach places.
Oh yeah, 1/8 of an inch. That's what is it? That's my insurance limit. They say if we ever come in and you got more than that, it's a big no-no.
For fire hazard or what?
Yeah, for fire. but
Yeah.
eighth of
I
an
mean, that
inch.
makes sense. Like, it's not good,
Right.
but I'm not throwing sparks up on that top shelf. Now, the rest of the area was normal. Like, it was fine. It's super thin layer, but way up top, yeah, it was pretty bad, which is just scary because that's been in the air, and all I've had is a respirator.
Hmm.
So I love this, and I love building furniture, but I worry that, like, am I choosing one of the worst trades for long-term health? I mean, obviously, like welding and that kind of stuff can really take people down, or you know, there are a lot of professions that take years off your life, and it's like,
Yeah.
is this one of them? Especially the way I'm doing it.
It
So
can be. I mean, you only hear like a handful of horror stories outside of cutting fingers off and things like that. But
right,
what was it? The most interesting one I heard was that there's like this 50-year-old man who lost his sense of smell because he was in the shop all the time, and they ended up going to the hospital, like check it out, and his like all of his olfactory cells got clogged with like hardened sawdust, and so he
no
just
way.
lost the ability to smell because of sawdust.
That's terrifying.
So there's weird things, but so you should
Ugh.
always have a mask on. Always have a mask on.
Always?
In the shop, yeah. I mean, if you don't have dust collection on, you should. At least for like 20 minutes after your last cut is kind
Okay.
of the
Okay.
general rule that I've seen online. That's what I followed when I was in my garage.
I've not been that good. I've been very good, but not that good. It just sucks wearing a mask
It sure does.
sometimes. It just sucks sometimes. Yeah. So I'm worried about that, and then I worry about, yeah, like risk of losing fingers, because
Mm.
like someday I'm gonna get hit, and I don't have a saw stop yet, obviously, but like, so that's an inherent risk. If I do this long enough,
Mhm.
that's gonna happen. It's isn't good for my lungs.
I'm knocking on wood because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm not even gonna say it, but I'm not gonna lose a finger. I'm
You
not
think
gonna.
you basically just said you think you're gonna lose a finger someday.
I'm not gonna. We're gonna
Okay,
be good. Be
that's fine.
safe. Use push sticks. Use your.
Denial is an okay mindset, because
Yeah.
I'm backpedaling right now, but that's fine.
Mhm.
So here's a better question: if you're gonna lose a finger, pick one right now. Which one are you
Um,
taking off?
my pinky.
Which hand?
I don't need it. My left hand actually. So I've got this. For people with camera, you can kind of see
Like
that
a bone spur or something?
I've got a bump. There's a name for it, but it's there's nothing you can do about it. You can't prevent it. It's just like tendons kind of get knotted up and tangled there.
Oof.
Um, I'll look up what that word is, but yeah, I've got it checked out with the doctor. People who work with their hands a lot end
Yeah.
up getting it over time. I've already got it at 31. Eventually, if it gets bad enough, you can get surgery, but it's just a long recovery.
Yeah.
Paul Sellers, if anybody knows who that is,
Okay.
he just had a surgery this year for the same thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd get rid of that finger right above that because then this will stop getting bad.
Okay.
Easy choice for
Might
me.
as well do that this week. I mean, it sounds like you're already there. I think I'd do like a ring finger or something, like my right ring finger,
There you
because
go.
I think my pinky's kind of useful in my grip. Somebody's gonna tell me that I'm totally wrong, but like, I feel like I would lose the surface area that I could grab with, where this ring finger's only there for support. Where like
Sure.
I want my three, the middle of the thumb and the pinky.
Yeah, you lose like a good inch and a half on your hand
Yeah,
span.
yeah. I think I'd go right ring finger. I'll keep
Okay.
the left because I'm left-handed and I'm married, so I gotta have the left ring finger. But
Okay. I didn't know you're left-handed. That's wild.
hey, crazy, we're out here. Some of us are just hidden
You
out here.
exist.
I know. Yeah, there are videos of me as a kid. Like I've got home videos. All my parents do, of them just like trying to. They're teaching me how to draw or whatever, like letting me draw with crayons, and they're like putting it in my right hand, like actively trying to mind control me into being a right-handed. And as a kid, I'm just nope, put it in my left every time. So I don't know what happened, but that's what it was.
Knew right away.
But then there are all like these rumors. Like as a kid, everybody talks about how like left-hand people are more creative and better at drawing. Like I was always told that, at least. I don't know if that's a normal thing that people hear. So then I'm in my head, I'm like, I have to be creative and draw and do all the things. But I don't know. That might be part of the reason that I like what I do now. But yeah.
I mean, I think left hand it is like because it's your right hemisphere, and that is supposed to be
Yeah.
the creative side, and your left side's the logical side.
Mm-hmm. That explains why I'm not logical. So I have a condition. I'm left-handed. I'm sorry.
That's it. Yeah, sorry. Got to be an artist now.
So if you had to lose a finger, it would be that left pinky. That's fair. I think that's a good option. Now this is a hard one. If you had to lose an eye, which eye would you choose? That scares me. I need to wear safety glasses more. That's probably my worst.
Couldn't pick one. What I don't even know which. Do you know what eye dominant you are?
I do. My left eye's way better.
I think my right eye. I'm right eye dominant, so get rid of the left one.
That's interesting because I'm left-handed. Left eye is better. Maybe that's I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
right.
My left eye is way better, so I would just gouge that right eye right out there. I think I'd rather do that than lose a finger, honestly. But
what else do you worry about in the shop?
Okay, so I got eyes, fingers, lungs, and apparently now my nose clogging up with sawdust, and that doesn't feel great for me on a stuffy nose day. Hearing, I think I'm great with my hearing. That's probably what I'm best at. It's definitely the easiest PPE to wear.
Yeah.
Like it's got my music in it. I'll wear it when I'm just like fiddling around, not even making noise. So I'm good with that. Good. Maybe like knees or back from standing a lot, but I haven't, it's not my full time yet. So I worry more about my knees and back at a chair in the office.
You said you've got your workbenches are really high too. So you're
super high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get a shoulder workout with my workbenches. They are, I think my main workbench is 42 inches off the ground.
Oh yeah. So you're keeping
I'm 6 foot. So
you're keeping your back safe doing that.
Yeah. I never have people complain all the time about like, the half bend when you're working and you're like half bent over. That'll kill you. And I see videos. Do you have that a lot?
I have to do exercises now. I've got a pamphlet of things that I'm supposed to do every day to strengthen it.
Do you do like reverse hypers and that kind of stuff with your?
Yeah, it's like a lot of yoga moves. Yeah.
Cool. But I hate that feeling. I've always hated that. So I just built them. I basically built them so my elbow with my shoulder in a neutral position, my elbow rests perfectly on the workbench.
Sure. Okay.
Or it's right around there. Like, so I don't have to, I try not to raise, but I don't have to bend at all to be actively on there. If I'm finishing something or trying to sand something, a lot of times I'm sanding literally up by my face, which is great for dust, but I'm wearing a mask when I'm sanding. So you get a little shoulder workout, but then I have to like put it on the ground and I change stuff up. But yeah, my whole shop is way elevated.
How about when you're finishing stuff? Are you wearing a mask then too?
So I finish with Rubio mostly.
Okay, that's got less volatile.
Way less. It's not fully free and clear, but I'll take that. I like it. It tastes good in my mouth, so I'm fine with like I'm not. It doesn't feel bad going down. Like if you're doing poly, you're like, this is not good for me.
Yeah.
But the Rubio, it feels kind of good. So give me those VOCs. That's okay. Or whatever those are called.
VOCs.
VOCs. Yeah. So yeah, those I'm not too worried about finishing. I wear masks if I'm ever spraying. I'm pretty good on that.
Good.
But I don't know. I just think about my hands and my lungs the most, I think.
Okay. So we got to get like a GoFund mat for a dust collector.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, I still haven't bought one. Of course not. I don't have the funds yet. I got to turn some more jobs. But then me wanting the tool makes me want to take jobs that I don't actually want, and then it's this cycle. So I'm just not doing that. I'll just be slow. Got to get a couple more projects in, and then dust collectors next. I promise.
Okay. You promise? All right.
Yeah. Well, the track saw I promised myself before, but the track saw was such a good deal on Marketplace for me. Like I couldn't
savings. Yeah.
it's yeah.
This is a
They
no-brainer.
paid me to pick it up basically at that
Yeah,
point.
it was a
So,
no-brainer.
no, it was worth it. But the dust collector is key. And other than that, I just need to be better about my safety glasses and my respirator.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad about the safety glasses. That's the one that
Yeah.
I leave on the table saw for some reason, but
They
I've
fog
always
up.
had a mask
They
on. Yeah,
fog
they
up.
fog up. That's true.
Yeah.
Especially with a mask, and I always have a beard, so it can't ever really get tight to my face, and so you always got air coming up. And
What kind of mask do you wear?
I can't think of the brand. I've never found a mask that fits my face. I've got
Same.
I've got 8 different brands, but there's this one that's got a rubber gasket, and I think it goes down to 0.2. Why can't I think of the measurement? Micron, yeah, 0.2 micron of like replaceable filters, and it's like super hard to get on there because it's really tight. But yeah, it like only covers about this much of my face.
Oh, wow.
I have a huge jaw, and I've never found one that fits. Back when I was working in like a clean room environment, I had to have the training for the why can't I think of that? The real big mask, right? With the and
Full on respirators.
full on respirators, and those never fit me either. So
Yeah. Well, got to trim that jaw down.
you gotta just dust collection. That's
Dust
the
collection.
key.
Plus the mask. I've never liked the cloth masks. They feel
Mhm.
useless to me. Like
Yeah.
like you're saying, they don't like fit right, and then they fog up like crazy, like the nose line, and then it's like
Yeah.
dust is getting in there anyway. Like I'm not like I'll take the mask off and there's dust inside. It's like, what did I do that for? So I wear a 3M paint respirator.
Okay.
And that thing works. Like I probably don't replace it as much as I should, but like the particles aren't getting through. They're just slowly clogging the respirator. But that thing's fairly comfortable on my face. Like the snap down, I realize I shouldn't be covering my face while I'm talking into a mic, so I apologize for the audio. But you got to demonstrate the way it fits with your hand, right? But
yeah,
I like that 3M respirator. I just don't like wearing it with safety glasses because the little straps will pinch the safety glasses, and then I'm just making excuses at this point. I should get one of those full face ones with the air cool and the tube, and
yeah, that's probably the way to go.
they're very expensive, but
do you know
it's
like
actually going to hurt you. The one I was looking at was over 1,000.
Okay,
but that had the full like system to it. Like I think it has a
yeah,
little backpack or a little tube to
right.
cool it so it doesn't get too hot in there and everything. So
All right, so maybe that'll be the GoFund mat that we'll start. You can test it out.
I'll just wear a hazmat suit and then cut pallet wood all day.
There you go.
Sand pallet wood all day with a big orbital sander and just breathe it in, lick it off the ground. So that's the other thing. Lots of people are doing refinishing on old furniture and pallets, and they do farmhouse stuff and barnwood, and it's just like I don't want any part of that anymore. When I was cutting up those whiskey barrels and the flight boards, I was drilling holes in them, the 2-inch holes for the Glencairns to sit into.
Sure. Yep.
Look at that, full circle. But as I'm cutting those, I could tell I was not doing nice things to my body.
Sure.
Like there's basically mold in those staves.
Right.
So some of it smelled okay because it's like white oak with some whiskey smell, but definitely a little bit of mold too. So it's like, probably not the best.
Yeah. Got to be careful with like spalted species too, and yeah, you got to be careful when you're sanding those.
Good to know.
Same reason. Yeah, most of it's dead fungus and it's stabilized, but it's still small enough, and because it's organic matter, if that touches your lungs, you can have a bad time, and it can stick and not come out of your lungs. So anybody who hears that, spalted, careful.
I'm done with spalted now. Thanks. Thanks for that. I don't think I have much spalted. I think I've got a little bit of spalted maple or elm, if elm can be spalted.
I think
from a tree from my backyard. I got a couple little pieces from the house I grew up in, and I'm like, I'm gonna make something out of this. But if you look long enough at the wood, it's kind of ugly, if I'm honest. Sometimes
Sure.
it's like too spalted. It's like not my thing. I don't know.
Not your thing. Okay.
Not my
It's
wife's thing.
sure.
So
I think it's nice if it's not too much. I agree.
it's just a lot. It's kind of a lot. So I got to figure out how to delicately use that or burn it or something. So make sure to breathe it in while I'm burning it.
Exactly.
For sure. That's the other thing. I mean, that's another lung thing. Like I was burning scraps this weekend. But they burn nice. I mean, when you're burning white oak and maple and walnut, like it goes down fine.
Yeah, it's a different experience too. Yeah, it's like a nice smelling bonfire. It's so
Yeah, they
cool.
should put that in a candle. Like wood shop scraps should be a candle scent.
There you go.
For anybody that develops those. But I think that's it for longevity. It's just we're picking a job that might hurt us, but I think there are a lot worse options. And I think sitting in a desk chair staring at a screen also has.
Yeah.
It might not be as much on the physical side, but probably bad mentally. And I mean, yeah, your back or your knees or those things can still go wrong. But
yeah, if you're up and moving, you're doing a little bit better. But yeah, the dust thing, that's the most important in our realm. So we got to get that taken care of for you soon.
I'm pretty good at it. Not with my 1/8 inch of dust up on the shelf. That is bad, but
you're in it for the long haul.
that's over a year.
You know you're going to need it eventually.
Yep.
So
True.
Yep.
I just need a job to pay for it to justify it because I can't be throwing more money, more debt. I'm not doing more debt.
Just open up a new credit card and do what you did before.
Oh,
I'm just
that's
kidding.
a great idea. I think I could probably get one. Nah, that's just too. It made me take jobs I didn't want to take. So
yeah,
that's just not the plan anymore. But yeah,
cool. Yeah, well, so this week I actually did some woodworking. It's been
okay.
a while.
Progress.
Yeah,
we haven't been for the last few weeks.
Haven't been for the past few months. So yeah, today I just went over to Nate's home shop where he's got his shop saber. So it's a 4x8 CNC machine with 12 tool changes. So it's a cool machine. It's the first time I got to be there while it was running. And so I just designed up the chop saw cabinet that we're gonna do, and we did modules like I mentioned. And so yeah, we were just ripping off stuff on there, and we got all the major parts done in like 4 hours. So it's 4 hours of us like programming it, like doing it for the first time. You're showing me how to draw it on there, and then like just going through how to use the VCarve. I think it's VCarve software.
VCarve Pro.
I'm super unfamiliar with that, but it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, 4 hours for, I don't know, I think it's going to be 22 foot long chop saw cabinet, and it's just done. So no drawers or anything yet. This is just like the carcasses, but yeah, it was sweet. And we did dados and things, so it'll fit together, and it's just the toe kicks. Beautiful. So it's just like done. So
that sucks. I'm just jealous. I'm sorry. It doesn't suck. That's awesome. But
it's
like
so awesome.
It's so easy. Like what'd you cut it out of?
We used pre-finished I think maple plywood.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, not pretty cheap plywood, but man, we're flying through it.
I understand.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, so one of the things that I thought was so cool, it blew my mind today, was so it's got a giant vacuum pump underneath, and it's got 4 quadrants that you can actually turn off the vacuum for each thing. And what I didn't realize is the spoil board is just MDF, and the suction goes right through that. So I think there's probably a lot of CNCs that are like that, but like I know my hobbyist CNC, it's bolted down. My spoil board is bolted, but this has the vacuum sucks right through the MDF, so you can even throw like another piece of MDF on top and use that as a nest for another thing, and that'll still hold down. So I was just really impressed. And like, then you can just use wood blocks as your stops because it's vacuuming through, so you don't have to have any clamps, no metal on there, so you're never gonna like run into anything. So it's just a really cool piece of machinery.
You pay for it too.
You do pay for it.
Those things are designed well. It sounds like. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you cut that all in 4 hours and now you just got to assemble it. Like, wow.
Pretty darn sweet.
So what was it like working with somebody else on a project? Because you haven't, you've been on your own. You've been one man show for a while. How's that all going?
That it was pretty good. Yeah, it was nice to just be like, I mean, we both need this thing at the end of the day for our shop, so it was really nice to get like a second opinion on design decisions, and then yeah, just like we quickly just bounced into the system, like roles for what was going on. Like he'd get the piece on there, we'd run it, I'd be off sanding, like getting the little nibs, because
Ply.
Yeah, ply's just, it was shitty ply.
Trash.
So it was getting all crinkly on the edges. So I'd be deburring it, and he'd get it. He'd chop up the next piece. I'd grab the next sheet. So we just kind of like fell into this rhythm where we didn't really have to say much, just because we're on like a similar level. And so that was just super nice. It was so efficient, and it was good. So that's I can't awesome. I can't wait for once our chop saw station is completely set up, we'll be out there a lot more and doing a lot more work while we're in the same room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think that's like the biggest limiting factor. Like for me to want to actually pursue this full steam is, do I got to be alone all the time? And because I take, I kind of look at who I hang out with. And it's not like college anymore, where I had plenty of friends. College was 4 years ago now. And I have the friends that I have that were around from high school, but I went to college out in South Dakota. So like everybody spread out really far. People went to Alaska, North Dakota, Colorado. They went everywhere. So like the friends that I have are just really close friends from either high school or my wife's friends, or friends that I'm making through woodworking, like this kind of thing, or work friends. And so it's like, if the majority of my actual friends and people I can joke around with and all that are at work, and I leave my job, not soon, obviously, but someday, like, and then I'll just be so alone. So that's nerve wracking. It's like, there's got to be a time period of alone in order to build it up enough to be able to hire people or take partners on or something. But, and even though you're not directly in business with Nate, by collaborating on the shop, you kind of have a partner there. So I don't know, is that just way more exciting to even go to the shop? Does that fuel you, or is it kind of is it tough sometimes, because you guys it's different businesses, so like we don't have to talk about the dynamic because it's still so new, but just the fact that you get to go work near somebody, how does that work for the business?
Yeah, I mean, I might go like way back and just talk about like all the different jobs I've had, because like that loneliness thing is like a thing I didn't really think about enough before I left my job, right? Like, so I was working as a kind of manufacturing engineer at my first job, and that was great because we had all the people around everybody all the time. I think there were 8 people in my position, and that was just the norm, and it was nice. And then at some point I got promoted to like manager, and that already got really lonely, right? But that was kind of around the time when I was experiencing the burnout, and I think being lonely was a big factor to that, because especially I was managing guys who were mid 40s, early 50s, and just like very different, like did not want to be managed by somebody my age. And so that was isolating, and I was in a different building from everybody. So that like really like kind of accelerated that feeling that I wasn't fully aware of it at the time. Like that was what was going on. But then when I left my job to do woodworking full time, that was one of the hardest transitions. And it's just like, yeah, I'm like you say, you've got these friends that you're around and they're everywhere. I'm kind of a person, I'm a little more hermit like, where
I'm going to hang out and spend a lot of time with the people that I'm in close proximity with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because it's just because like I am just so focused on like, here's what's in front of me. This is what I'm working on. Right.
Sure.
It's not like anything to do with those friends or anything. It's just hard for me to stay connected. And so yeah, like it's really nice now, even though it's pretty new and Nate and I haven't been in the shop a lot at the same time yet. But yeah, just to have somebody physically there who like, if you're getting stuck in your head or like stuck with something, you can just say, hey, this is going on. And they're going to be able to like look at that thing and say, oh, just do this. It's no big deal.
Objective.
And you're going to be able to believe it. And it just kind of like, I mean, for sure, when I was working on that table, the last table where I was just getting way deep into the darkness there, like that's for sure why. If I had been in a shop with somebody else, I don't think it would have gotten to those depths. So yeah, it's huge. It's like it's a big factor. I don't know if you had more specific questions, but
no, not really. Just kind of the reflection on how that went, and then if you would have changed anything. I mean, I don't know that there are things you could have changed. I mean, you actively. I know you were in your garage shop for a little while, and then you found the community space. Likely due partially to that, for more space, more to have a place to go do your stuff rather than being at home, so that it kind of separates work and gives you that balance. But then you want to surround yourself with people, and I think it sounded like that was a nice place. It just, the people who happened to be in that shop weren't using it to the level that you were. So then you were still lonely in a big shop that was shared.
Right. Yeah. And so that wasn't good either. But yeah, so I mean, like for your case, like you're absolutely right. Like if you make that jump, it's gonna be like just you for a little bit. And like I don't know how you can like test out what that feels like in any like significant way. I don't think you can. But it's good to know about yourself. Like it was good for that trial period just to like see what happens. And I think it's worth knowing that too, in case like, so later down the line, if you do change jobs or build a company, like you're gonna appreciate it a lot more. But yeah, definitely think about it a lot when it's time to make the jump.
Yeah.
Have people on call, like see if they're like other people. I guess that is what I would do different. I would have talked more to my friends and like been more vulnerable up front. Just be like, hey, I am now doing this career where I'm alone. Like, can I call you once a week and just like tell you about some of the things that I'm working on? And yeah, this podcast, like talking to you, does a lot of that for me, and it's great, and I super appreciate it. But yeah, I would have been more upfront with different people and let them know, hey, I'm on my own. I actually need human connection, and like once in a while, can you just pretend to like really care what I'm working on in the shop?
Exactly. Like even if you don't get what I'm saying, just like pretend it makes sense and just lean into it for a minute.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than somebody asking you how it's going and then they stop listening partway through. Like that's easily how you're gonna lose me as somebody who wants to talk to you. Like if you're gonna ask me a question and then not listen to the answer, it's over. Sorry. Like, and it's not that you need to know. I just don't come out and say things. Like I'm not like, oh, so the other day I was like, I'm not great at that. Some people are really conversational in that way, but I kind of just, I definitely do that if there's a big lull and I'm trying to like play off something that somebody just said. I'm kind of backpedaling here for a second because I'm thinking of people that know me that are listening that are like, no, I get it, shut up. But we could be hanging out all night and you don't know something big that happened this week because I'm like just not wanting to just come out and
freely
announce.
sharing it.
Yeah. So I want some type of give and take, I guess. That's probably my own issue. I think my wife wants me to just share some stuff more, just like, oh, this happened, but like I don't really think of it unless, I don't know, I kind of compartmentalize the work and the home and everything too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I'm right there with you because, like, I am also somebody who doesn't openly share a lot of things. Like, if you ask me a direct question, I can talk about that for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's like something especially if I'm proud of it, I'm not just like, hey, here's this thing I did. Do you want to hear about it? But I'm also on the same page with you where the reason I don't do that very much is because I'm really attuned to if the person is invested in the thing that I'm saying. And
Sure.
if they're not getting value from it, I'm just like, okay, next topic. I guess
Yeah, we're done. Like you don't
thing.
have to know, and it doesn't really help me to tell you.
Yeah.
And like and sometimes I'll talk for a little while, realize maybe nobody was actually listening, and then I get annoyed with myself for the words I even just said. I'm like, that was a waste. It wasn't funny. It wasn't a good story, or it wasn't valuable to them. So just stop. And it's like, well, maybe they didn't mind it. Maybe it was okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do want to just take a back seat, but it's hard to feel that out sometimes.
Mm-hmm. It's safer to just know that I'm interested in this thing and I'm going to talk about it. And if you listen, you listen. If you don't, you don't. But that takes work to figure out what that looks like for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then when I'm in conversations with people and I can tell they're trying to get buy-in from others, I try to ask like really subtle questions like this. I think this helps people feel heard, to be like, to ask a subtle question about a random detail they said kind of early on.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they didn't have to say the detail. I don't have a great example of this, but like you can kind of realize when I've got a couple of coworkers who do some woodworking on the side too. And they'll ask me like just randomly, they'll be like, you get that dining table done? And I'm like, shut up, like leave me alone. But they know that I've been working on it and they're kind of keeping tabs on it and that kind of thing. So that kind of shows that value too. So like, even if it's out of context, just like pulling stories back in, and it's just not telling people how to talk to people right now. That's not what this podcast is about, but also it's about coworkers too. And I think this podcast is giving me some hope for, even if, like you said, even if I do go full time and be lonely, you just have to be more intentional about finding places to vent all the ideas or all the questions and panic.
Yeah,
and all
it's all about figuring out so we do a lot of talking about what we want on this podcast, right? But I think it's just as important, or maybe even more important, to figure out what you need too.
Right.
And like, running a business is one of the best vehicles to figure out a lot of that information, because it's going to challenge you and you're going to run into unexpected things and you're going to have expectations of it going a certain way, and then it just surprises the crap out of you and you have to adjust. And the only way to adjust is to figure out what you need for that scenario. So I think, it's going to be good learning, even if it's painful and lonely for a little bit.
I think you kind of touched on something important there, where everything keeps changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like a false perception of going into business on your own too, where it's like, you feel in a corporate job, I got to go to work, I got to report to somebody, and I feel like I'm at their mercy in a way. They decide everything: what I get paid, when I work, what I work on, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get good at your job, you kind of can self-govern a little bit, and you almost can make your own role in a way. Not
Mm-hmm.
really, but within every role, there's a certain amount of wiggle room where you define it too. But I think it's like a bad perception that people think that as soon as you go full time on your own, you're more stable because you're fully in control of everything. But the funny thing is, since you're in control of everything, you're so much less stable. And like this definition of stability is an HR department that has like a bunch of interview processes, and then they hire you and you are onboarded, and now you have benefits, and now you have that is stability.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people think if they're fully reliant on themselves, they know everything that's coming in and out and all. Yeah, you know it all, but that sounds worse to me. And that's a little bit of a worry too. If I'm just adding more worries to the list here, we got longevity, loneliness, and now I'm talking about stability, because it's just, you can't account for the money coming in because you don't actually know, what's going to come in next year for this type of business, right?
Yeah.
You can do your best to set yourself into a good position, but what do you think about stability? Are you worried?
I think
Relaxed?
so. I'm not really worried. I'm somebody who has a really high risk tolerance. Like, and that comes from. So I still don't really have like high self-esteem. I wouldn't say that. I'd say I'm getting there. But I do know that a lot of things I'm very capable of learning, right? And so, in terms of like stability, I guess I would say I look at it differently than I used to. Like I used to when I was working a 9 to 5 job, stability meant, am I making more income than the bills and the lifestyle that I want to try to live, and still saving for retirement and whatnot, and being able to hang out with friends when I want.
Sure.
Stability now is like very much a different picture. It's more, how can I remove all of the unnecessary things from my life? Right. So like this journey of running my own business has made me realize, like, okay, I'm carrying like a lot of things that I care and think about all the time. And how many of those things are serving me? And I've had to like narrow it down. And I'm like so much happier each time I narrow it down. And so I don't want to say that in a way like I'm excluding thoughts about other people or anything. It's more just like, I realize now that, as much as I love watching Netflix or watching TV shows and want to be updated on all those new things, it's like, that's just so far down on the list compared to what it used to be, because I know what I need now. Like that was a thing that I could afford to have on a regular basis because I had money, and that was the thing that I needed. And now I'm realizing there's a lot more that I need in it, a lot more different things, not
Right.
quantity.
Sure.
So right now I know I need human connection. I need to feel good about my job, which looks like, am I making an impact on people other than myself?
Okay.
Also I need to make an income, and like, yeah, am I being myself, and is that rubbing off on people in a positive way? Like, boiled down, that's stability, and I'm always in control of those things to some degree.
Sure.
Whereas before, when I thought I was stable in a 9 to 5 job, I wasn't really in control very much, but I thought I was. So it's just different. Stability's totally changed.
You're flipping it back on me. You're flipping it back on me. That's interesting. Because I'm definitely in that. I'm in that. I don't know if that's rat race, but like the money stability version of things, like bills.
Yeah.
Can I cover all the bills? And that's like stability. Am I worried about that portion? Yeah, I am. So am I really stable? Even with where I already think I'm stable.
Right.
Oh, that's a perspective shift, but I don't know how to get all the way to where you're at, because
Time, experience, challenge.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry if it does make you worry, but yeah, it looks like, yeah, where I'm at, like I feel just way more confident that, if some crazy event that I can't predict and like would screw up my life, I'm so much more ready for that now than I was 4 years ago. And
Yeah.
And so like, that's just a good feeling. And that is stability for me. Like that feels good.
Yeah. It's like personal preparedness, just in like intrinsic values versus just money or stuff or whatever it is. Yeah. That's interesting.
Good question. Cause yeah, it took me a lot of
This is a
different
head
places.
scratcher. I'm physically scratching my head thinking about this. Yeah. Stability, loneliness, longevity. What else? What were you worried about that you didn't need to be worried about? That's a
That's a good question.
Another one I got for you.
Like for jumping into my own business.
Sure.
I think,
Or just even right now, like what
just
do you?
life.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of things. One of the things that right now that I do actually worry about, and my physical health, and like we've talked about my heart thing that I still got to get checked out. We've talked about, I was doing CrossFit, and I thought that I'd be a lot worse off than I am, not having done a lot for my physical health other than like eating better.
Okay.
And that's actually turning out to be not as big of an issue. Like, as long as it's just like being intentional and all the other things we're talking about. I'm intentional. I pay attention to my body. Like, if I eat this thing compared to this thing, how do I feel an hour later? And like, I'm paying attention to that. I'm looking for that. And then that helps me like figure out, okay, I know these foods help me feel good and these ones don't.
Well,
And
certain
like
foods help me feel really good. It's so momentary. It's that, it's that little bit of satisfaction that fades away, and then you want another piece or another Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah. But back when I was like working out like crazy, I could eat whatever I want and I never had to think about it. And even when I did eat better, the result wasn't as much different as it is now. So I mean, that's definitely one. What else did I worry about that I shouldn't worry about? I mean, yeah, talking about income, like that's a thing. Like, making an engineer's income and then suddenly not is such a huge adjustment. But again, thanks to my wife, she's got a good paying job that allows me this opportunity to do what I'm doing. But we're just way better off than we thought we would be. And so that's good to know. Do you have any? Well, I'll keep thinking. Or just, what other things do you worry about?
I'm hooked on the stability flip we just did
You're gonna
there.
spend some time thinking about that.
Yeah, so I was pushing off the topics onto you for a minute there. I guess I'm just worried. This is probably the biggest one that I haven't really voiced even to myself. Like, I know it. I'm worried that I'll get bored. Not bored, but I'll change my passion.
Sure.
And that sucks because I'm like, I found it. I got it. I love this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking to myself, do I want to make 10 chairs? 10 of the same chairs? Yeah, I do. Do I? Yeah, I do. But so it's like, it's in 5 years after I do this whole thing and I try to set up all these systems and a machine that actually can do this.
So when you say, I hear that. I'm with you. I'm not a maintainer. Like, I'm more of a, let's learn the new thing. Let's learn the new thing. So from that mindset, I think, I mean, if that's you, and it sounds like it is. I think it's important to keep feeding what's the new thing, and like maybe that can be part of your business or not part of your business. But as you can't stop learning things, if you're a learner.
I'm definitely a learner. I would put myself in that bucket. And I think overall, like, what I actually like in reality is prototyping.
Okay.
Like, I like that idea to first, like, whether that's an art piece as a little kid, like doing some crayon drawing or whatever it is. Again, full circle. I got them all day today. Or building furniture where it's an idea and then it's reality. It's more about that first one. I think I haven't really had a chance to build a lot of the second, third, fourth ones.
Sure.
I did that on some side tables, and I don't really want to make those side tables again. And that's like one of my only ones where it's like, I don't know because I want to change it up. I want to try new stuff. I want to learn new skills. So then it's like, how do I? This is what I was battling with even at work today. Like, I was thinking about this, and I think I googled like companies that just basically just prototype.
Sure.
But then you get way into like the tech stuff, like heavy electronics and stuff that I don't have the skill set for. Yeah, I could learn it, but I don't want to. It just, I don't know how to make a company that can feed that well
Sure.
and have, let's say, stability where like that's like full artist almost, where you're only prototyping.
Yeah.
Like that's pure artistry in a way.
It's yeah. So like as a learner, you have to develop like coping strategies. Let's just call it that. Cause I think that is because like boredom. I could talk more about boredom. I think it's a necessary thing to our lives.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I understand the worry of if I keep doing the same thing over and over again, is that not going to be stimulating enough for me to enjoy life? That's definitely possible. One of the things that I would always do is if I was making another thing, I'd try to make it faster, right? Or, you know, I do a lot of glue ups. So how tight are my glue ups? Are there less, you know, are there other things about doing the same thing that I can compare to the past? And then also know that if you go too far to that extreme, that's not necessarily good territory either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think just, it's more about like, if you're getting bored, it's because it's not the exact like fulfillment that you thought it was going to be. And so as long as you continue to like adjust and allow yourself to adjust and put your eyes on what that you think that thing might be, it's usually a little bit better. Like, yeah, I don't have a good way. I don't have a lot of experience with it because I'm dealing with it right now. Right. Like I'm doing the woodworking thing.
Yeah.
Now I'm writing a book, and I'm also looking at the life coaching thing. And I think, the life coaching thing, I think, is more of a, like, that's way connected to my personal connection, where I know doing that on a regular basis, I won't get tired of that, but I don't want to do that all the time. I just want some stability in the income that we're talking about so that I can jump over here and go even crazier with the woodworking.
Sure.
So it's kind of just like, I don't know, like, listen to your heart, listen to your gut, and figure out how to get more of what you want. Which sounds selfish, but I think in a really real way, it's not, because it actually,
it's going to let you do better work. If you're doing what you want and you like it, you're going to do better work for more people.
You're more engaged, you're more intentional, you're more thinking about how's this affect people. Yeah.
If you stop caring, you're not producing well anymore. You're not doing your best work. So I think the prototyping is great because it's like, that leans me toward custom furniture, right? Like that's basically all prototype. It's like first runs of everything. And I think that's why it's also so attractive to so many people that have this same itch. But then you're at the will of someone else too. And that can be great. I've had good experience, but that can be bad. You've had some bad experience that I've heard. So it's just, I don't want to jump and then go 10 years and then go, I wish I was an engineer.
Sure.
Can you imagine?
I think so. Yeah. I think we're, in my opinion, that where this conversation is going, we're entering the realm of belief. Right. And so that, like, I don't mean spirituality necessarily. I don't mean religion necessarily. It's just more of like, what do you think and observe is true about the world, even though we don't get that messaging all the time. Like, I know that if I continue to stay intentional and chase the things that I want, my life is going to improve, and those around me, hopefully their lives improve too. Like, that's a belief that I have. Right. You're kind of getting into that territory. And I think that only comes with time and age. Like, I look back at, I think maybe I'm an oddball. When I was like 25, 26, like, I wasn't looking at life that way at all. I was just in pure survival mode. Right. And like, couldn't expand. Like, I thought philosophically about a lot of things, but I never really looked at my life through that lens. I just looked at the life out here through that lens, and that was really interesting to me. But yeah, I don't know where else to go with that, but just like kind of opening up, like, yeah, belief is huge, and like it comes with self-confidence. I mean, it's kind of like a chicken or the egg scenario there too, where like you're going to figure life out. I mean, at any point in your future, you're going to look back and say, everything that happened up to this point happened exactly how it was supposed to happen.
Right. And that's, everybody hits that basic point someday, and it's just sometimes you have really long stretches in between them.
Right.
But and I already know, this is the thing. Like, I know, let's say I go full time and I'm having a shit project and I'm working through it. I'm gonna be like, I wish I was at an office right now working through some stuff, because it's harder. It's gonna be harder. But like overall, I know value wise, like why I want to do it. And when you're talking about belief, it kind of just leads you to a purpose. Like, what's your purpose here?
Yeah.
And so it's defining that, and that's going to change and stuff. And I've kind of touched that. Like, I just want to be a good husband and a good dad. Like, I think that's my purpose. Right. So overall, I don't know that the profession has to be the thing. Like, some people chase a dream and they got to go work for, SpaceX or like some big company, the new thing, Apple back in the day. But then that's just for that job and that's for them. But some people, like, I don't really care what I work on as long as I enjoy the people I work with.
Yeah.
I think any project, I could design toilets. It could be fun as long as the people that I'm working with are fun. Right.
Yeah.
So I think developing that culture and that business, and if I can get people in there and have that good community, like a little family of a business, then even if we're struggling on projects or something, and I think I wish I would have been an engineer still, then I'll still value where I'm at, even if it's a type of work that is hard at the moment. But overall, just to bring it to the close there for the worry about boredom or future changing of passion, like just change, fear of change there. I think keeping that prototyping in play and just trying to keep the custom element for myself, at least, where I would also want, because stability and cash flow and all that stuff is like an intense worry for me. I would want basic stuff that we produce anyway. Like, I would want originals that I'm producing, and we've definitely talked about this, and I'm just kind of, I'm putting the puzzle pieces together for me to give myself a conclusion, and you guys are all seeing it here. But I think it needs both elements, so I can still have that outlet of new, but then, like you're saying, improve each time, get faster, better, more durable, better finish quality, like all the little things, clean up the customer side of things, make it seamless for them to order that chair that is, maybe it's the 10th one you've made and it doesn't matter as much to you as the first one, but it also does, because now you're building a kind of a line in a way, and it's kind of like more people have this, so it's more of a unit. It means more in a different way than a single piece. So I want to think of it both ways, as like I'm building one-offs, and then I'm building kind of a group, and we're all part of everyone who has one of these chairs is part of that group. Right.
Yeah. And I think too, like allow balance, right? Like, I want to try to do my own conclusion about some of the things I said, because I know I kind of wandered all over the place. But like, if I'm doing this thing that I think is really important, like I've got my one goal that I'm trying to reach. If I have a new passion 5 years, 10 years down, the problem point isn't because there's a new passion in my time split. The real problem begins when you say, I've got this passion, this new passion that's different, and I'm not going to allow that because I've still got this thing and I'm going to stick with this thing. That's when you start doing damage to your soul, I guess, like to your own humanity. Like, I think there's always opportunity to be like, all right, I can keep doing what I'm doing, and I can combine this new thread of interest into it.
Yeah, and even if it's not like the physical act of whatever you're interested in, there's like a root somewhere in every interest. It's like that's the calling. It might not be like the actual act of building furniture, but it could be the root of taking raw materials, turning them into something and delivering them to somebody. You could make those 3 steps in a bunch of different industries.
Right.
Right. So it's about like finding the root of the passion, and then you can apply that into a ton of different businesses. Right. So
Super well said. Yeah, that's pretty much the point that I was trying to like pay attention to the thing that like the idea of the thing that you like.
yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sweet. No
Yeah.
more worries. We don't have to worry about change. We don't have to worry about longevity.
No.
Everybody, you don't need to wear a mask in the shop. Just breathe in that dust. We don't have to worry about stability. We don't have to worry about loneliness because we can have conversations like this. So it
Yeah,
all
that's
works out.
exactly right.
This episode wasn't intended to be all about worries of the future or the jump, but it is hopeful in a way because it's all about just leaning back and watching what happens anyway. So
Yeah, and it's where the conversation went. So I think we both kind of needed it. So
yeah,
I appreciate it. You have a recommendation for today?
I actually do. I came prepared.
You came prepared. All right.
It's a very popular book, and I think it would, if you haven't read it, listen to it. Yet I would suggest it. It's The War of Art by Pressfield, I believe. It's short. It's about this. It's about creatives getting in there and doing the work.
Okay.
It's kind of an older format in a way where they just kind of talk at you.
Okay.
But it's good. It's good. It gives you the kick in the butt to get in the shop or to get out there doing whatever you do.
The War
of Art.
WAR. Okay.
Yep. So like
Awesome.
there's The Art of War by Sun Tzu or whatever, like the old book.
Yeah.
The War of Art.
War of Art. Okay.
And it's about like getting in there and fighting like the resistance in you that says you don't need to do that, and like the procrastination and the it definitely is like if you don't feel like working, listen to that for 10 minutes and you're like, okay, we gotta get going on this. So
that's awesome.
It's a good one. Good.
I'll definitely check that out. I've got another podcast. Totally gonna be left field after your recommendation.
That's all right.
It's called Dungeons and Daddies. I don't know if anybody's a Dungeons and Dragons fan. That's all it is. It's right now they're on their 2nd season, but it's just a really funny. They're top-notch writers on the show who they all play dads in this Dungeons and Dragons world, and their goal is to save their children who got sucked into this other world, and they've got to go save their kids. And so they do a lot of like dad jokes, a lot of just like, yeah, just they do a really good job. It's entertaining.
Cool. It sounds like good stuff.
Good content.
I love anything comedy, man. Anything comedy. That's awesome. Sweet. So if you need a kick in the butt, War of Art. If you need something to laugh at, Dungeons and Daddies.
Yeah, and they hit you with the feels too.
Ooh, full circle. Okay, I gotta stop saying that. I said it 3 times.
Full circle.
See, I get my phrases and I just stick with them.
Phrase of the week. My wife does that too.
Phrase of the week.
Phrase of the week. Yeah.
A couple months ago, it was chill. Now it's full circle.
Full circle.
I will see you in the next episode, and we can make all these conversations come full circle. So I'll see you.
Perfect. Have a good one, man. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'd be having these conversations with or without you because we get a lot of value out of this and we learn and grow together, but we're glad that you're here as well.
Yes, please let us know what you think of the podcast by leaving a review or a rating, but also comment or share with your friends in the woodworking or small business community. I'm Matt from Whiskey Woodshop.
And I'm Brian of Boss Man's Boutique.
Thanks for
listening.